YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with another updated mock draft post NFL Combine. A lot of risers, some fallers. I got 2 rounds here updated and might do a 3rd round, but that'll come out on Twitter later, so make sure you follow our Twitter if you want to check that out. So yeah, there's our Twitter, there's our Instagram. Lots of good stuff on there. We have our fan-voted mock draft. You guys are voting for each pick. So go to our Twitter if you want to vote. It's pinned on our Twitter. So, yeah, check it out. Let's get into the first 8 picks, though. And I got Kyler Murray going first. You know, I believe it'll happen. You know, there's some people saying that Rosen's their guy. Some people are saying they're trying to trade him. They can't get much for him, and Murray's their guy. You know, I'm starting to believe that Murray is going first pick because Kingsbury doesn't have really long. This is his only chance. So he wants to make sure he gets the right offense. And, you know, people are raving about Murray. And I just feel like it's happening. You know, I think he would have worked out at the Combine too, but I think he knows something as well. So I think that makes sense. They grab him with the first pick, and then Nick Bosa falls to 2 for the Niners. So I think that would be pretty clear that they take Nick Bosa, the edge rusher from Ohio State. And then the Jets, I got them. It's a decision here. Quinnen Williams or Josh Allen. You know, I'm not saying this is what I would do. It's possible, but I think they would take Quinnen Williams, put him on the D-line with Leonard Williams. It's a good duo. Good duo to have. The Raiders then take Josh Allen. You know, can't pass up on him. It's a no-brainer. The edge rusher from Kentucky. So they bring him in there. You know, I think he can fit more as a 3-4 outside linebacker. The Raiders playing a 4-3. I still think he can make it work. You know, some people view him as a speed rusher, but I think he's more than that. You know, obviously has a lot of strength too. So that's why I'm very high on Josh Allen. And then the Buccaneers go Rashawn Gary, defensive end from Michigan. I prefer Gary at the end position in the 3-4, which the Bucs are switching to. So I think that would have to be the pick. He had a freakish combine, so I think a lot of teams are going to be high on him. Some teams aren't going to like that, the lack of production. Some teams are going to want to work with him because he's a freakish guy. But he was double, and I even seen triple teamed a lot in college, so that could be the reason for the lack of production and the injury, but not a concern going forward. The Giants take Dwayne Haskins, quarterback, Ohio State. Feel pretty confident about this one. There was rumors that they liked Daniel Jones more. I think it's smoke. I think it's a bunch of BS. I think they like Haskins. If it's not Haskins, I think it's an offensive lineman, maybe Juwan Taylor. But I like Haskins there. The Jags, I have taken DK Metcalf, the wide receiver from Ole Miss, after running in the 4.3s. Very impressive. You know, I still some worries a little bit on DK Metcalf is, you know, what routes can he run inside, you know, inside the hashes, inside the numbers. You don't see a lot of it. Pretty much all of his catches are on the sideline. And still worried about that a little bit. Can he give me more routes? Can he give us more routes? Can he get the ball inside of the numbers? Still a little bit of a question, but he's a freakish guy. You know, he definitely should turn out in the NFL. I think the Jags will like him too. You know, I think they'll like him. So they'll take him at 7. I think he has the potential to even go up to, I don't think he goes 3. I think the Raiders may think about it at 4. We'll see. Very interesting, though. At pick 8, the Lions going Montez Sweat, defensive end from Mississippi State. Freakish combine from him as well. And, you know, he's about 6'6". He's got ridiculous arm length. You know, it's one of those guys that coaches want to work with. And they got Patricia over there. You know, he's going to want to work with Sweat. And usually these guys don't have production, though, to back it up. You know, some people complain about Gary not having production to back up his, you know, freakish athleticism, but Sweat has the production. So I think the Bucs can even think about Sweat at 5, but I think Sweat fits a little more. I think he can play both 4-3 and 3-4, but I think he fits a little more in 4-3. So I think the Lions would take him there. I don't think he gets past that pick, honestly, after his freakish combine. And we saw him at the Senior Bowl, too. Once the Senior Bowl gets through, Montez Sweat, stock up for everybody. Once we see him again for a second time in the offseason, which was the Combine, stock up. Everybody agrees. So, I mean, there's just a lot to like about Montez Sweat. Every time we see him, his stock just rises. So, I think the latest he goes is, I'm starting to think the latest he goes is 8. So, we'll see. 9, I got the Bills taking Juwan Taylor, offensive lineman from Florida. I would love this pick for them. You know, I think a lot of Bills fans want DK Metcalf, but he's off the board. Juwan Taylor, you know, the Bills need right side, specifically the right side of the line. You know, right tackle, right guard. Juwan Taylor, you know, plug and play right away at right tackle. So it makes a lot of sense. Protect Josh Allen on that right side. 10, the Broncos go Devin White. I don't think he gets past this point. This is going to show us when this pick comes along, and if Devin White's there, it's going to show us how much control Vic Fangio has, because Devin White's a Vic Fangio pick. He picked Roquan Smith last year. White's very similar. They need a linebacker like White. He's, a freakish athlete, high motor guy, has instincts. He's the pick here. If he's not, he's either not on the board or John Elway has 100% control of who they're drafting, which is possible. So we'll see. I think Devin White's a Vic Fangio guy, though. And Bengals. I got TJ Hawkinson going to the Bengals. Haven't really seen this one, but, they got a lot of free agent tight ends. Eifert's real good, but he can't stay healthy. But Hawkinson, definitely worthy of this pick. He's probably worthy of a better pick, honestly. It's a do-it-all tight end. The Bengals trying to develop that offense, make it better. You could think about a couple other guys here. Once we get to a player that I thought about here, we'll talk about why I didn't have him going here. But Hawkinson makes sense, worthy of the pick. Do-it-all tight end. They have a lot of free agents. Makes sense to me. The Packers go Brian Burns, edge rusher from Florida State. I would love this pick for the Packers. I think he fits as a 3-4 outside linebacker. And he'd be great for them. They really need two of those guys probably, at least, to start for them. They still have Nick Perry under contract. Don't think they bring Matthews back. He's kind of, on the way out anyway. He's not as good as he used to be. But Burns is a big riser for me after the combine. Super smooth. Looks like he can fit in. It's a 3-4 outside linebacker. The Packers would love to have him. That'd be an excellent pick. Dolphins take Drew Lock. He's still sitting on the board here. They could go at some of these D linemen here, possibly a pass rusher as well. But with Drew Lock sitting here, I think they do it. Quarterback of the future for them. The Falcons go Christian Wilkins, defensive lineman Clemson. I think he fits opposite of Grady Jarrett. I think that's why we're going to talk about Ed Oliver in a little bit here. I think he was the guy I considered for the Bengals and the Falcons and the Dolphins, really. But I think Wilkins is a better fit. Some teams are going to be higher on Wilkins than Oliver, but really they're two totally different players, even though they were both defensive tackles last year. I think Wilkins is a better fit next to Grady Jarrett for the Falcons. The Redskins go Daniel Jones. Maybe every team's just blowing smoke about Daniel Jones. You hear he's a top quarterback in the draft on some people's boards, so maybe it's all smoke because I'm not seeing it. I have multiple quarterbacks that we may not even talk about in this mock draft that I like better than Daniel Jones, but I think the Redskins, I think they take him here. I wouldn't do it if I were them, but right now I think that's what they do if he's sitting here. And then the Panthers are supposedly switching to a 3-4 at Oliver. The D lineman from Houston I have going there, too good to pass. I think you can play a 3-4 end for them, too. They need ends in that defense. They need pass rush help. We'll see. Ed Oliver kind of brings, everything in that spot. So why didn't I have the Bengals, Dolphins, or Falcons taking Ed Oliver? I kind of explained the Falcons. I think Wilkins a little better fit. And the same thing with the Bengals. Ed Oliver would be taking Billings' spot. I think they want more of your traditional nose tackle there. Ed Oliver, pretty similar. I personally wouldn't mind at all. Ed Oliver and Geno Atkins sounds great to me. I like Ed Oliver. I just don't know if they do it. They are switching. They did switch coaches, though. They went and got the defensive backs coach from the Giants. I don't know what type of defense he's going to run. It's still up in the air. So we'll see. It's hard to decide what the Bengals are doing, but I think they want to, I know the defense is where they need to improve, but I think they want to focus on this offense here, especially in today's NFL. We'll see. And the Dolphins, I think, would love Ed Oliver, but with Drew Lock sitting there, they may have to take him. The Panthers, that would be a great pick for them, a steal. But also teams are, worried about his size. I don't agree with him playing linebacker, but teams actually wanted him to work out at linebacker during the combine. That was actually a true thing. So maybe he's sliding down boards because of his size. I don't know. I'm not really buying it, but I think he can slide a little bit. But I don't know if it's for those reasons. I think it's just for fit reasons. Moving on. 17, I got the Browns going Jonah Williams, offense lineman from Alabama. Too good to pass. It's hard to believe I still had him on the board here at 17. And the Browns got a line. If they were to start the season today, they would be okay, but they don't have too much depth, in my opinion. They could get better in some spots. I think Williams can play left tackle or a guard spot right away. Some teams even like him at center, I heard. So teams are going to be really split on him, so I think it is realistic that he can drop. The Vikings go Noah Fant at 18, tight end from Iowa. I just got a feeling about this one. The Vikings have been trying to get that athletic tight end for a while now. They've been drafting them. The super athletic tight ends haven't really been first-round picks or early picks the last few drafts. They've been kind of like later, and they took Conklin, they took Pruitt. They tried to make it. Conklin can still work, and they tried to get Trey Burton. Apparently, they offered a lot of money at him, but the Bears offered a ridiculous amount. And I actually have a comparison. I think Fant's a little more athletic, a little better than Burton. So I think the Vikings could be interested in this here. I think the future would be Fant and Morgan. Morgan, excellent blocking tight end. It's just a feeling I have. I strongly consider Devin Bush, and that would be a great pick to replace Anthony Barr, too. The Titans go Dexter Lawrence, D-tackle Clemson. He's a Titans guy to me. I think he could play nose for him. I think they'll like him a lot. You know, he had a pretty good 40 for how big he was, so I think they'll like him. Steelers go Devin Bush, linebacker, Michigan. Too good to pass. He should go earlier in this. He's a fit. I think he can play any defense, honestly. He's a freak. Very instinctive. He should go earlier than 20, in my opinion. Another guy that should go way earlier than 20 is Clelin Ferrell. I love Clelin Ferrell as a prospect. The reason he's down here is because those freakish D linemen, they tested well. They're going above him, pushing him back. Also, those other guys can play 4-3, 3-4. To me, Ferrell's a 4-3 end. You know, if he's going to play in a 3-4, you know, if he got drafted to a 3-4 team, which I think he goes to a 4-3 team, if he did get drafted by a 3-4 team, they would try to play him an outside linebacker. I think he should be a D end still. That's my opinion. But Ferrell's very good, very instinctive, very good with his hands. This would be an absolute steal. Frank Clark and Clelin Ferrell would be dominant. I'd be very scared of this team. The Ravens go A.J. Brown, wide receiver, Ole Miss. Loved A.J. Brown at the combine. You know, mainly in the drill. He tested well, but mainly in the drills. He's so smooth. So, you know, the routes, but the hand fakes too, the head fakes even. You know, those are rare things. You see guys that can run routes, and you see the guys with their footwork, but then you see the guys with those in their head and hand fakes, and it's rare. And I think A.J. Brown's got it, and he can play in the slot, can play outside. He's going to throw some DBs off. The Ravens would love to have him here. 23, the Texans take Cody Ford. They need a lineman. I'm not a fan of drafting off need, but it happens to be there's a lineman that may be the best player on the board at this point. Cody Ford can play right tackle, can play either guard spot for the Texans right away. Raiders go Byron Murphy, cornerback, Washington. He's a technician, technique guy. He's got it down. He put on some size. He can play. I think he'll be the first corner off the board, and I got him going to the Raiders. And the corners drop a little bit. I think Murphy's the earliest one, possibly Greedy. We'll talk about him in a second here. And by a second, I mean the next pick. Greedy Williams, corner from LSU. You know, I talked about this before. He's the opposite of Murphy. You know, he's not the technician. He needs to brush up on his technique big time. But he's a playmaker, and he's got speed. He's got quickness. What he was able to do while not having the best technique is very, very impressive. So if you go off just the tape, Byron Murphy's probably the number one corner, but Greedy Williams is my number one corner because you got to take potential into consideration, what they could become. And I think with the right coaching, he can become something else here. So the Eagles would love to have him or Byron Murphy. The Colts go N'Keal Harry. I think should go earlier in this. Had pretty good times, didn't test extremely well, kind of what we expected, but N'Keal Harry can play. You know, you don't see a freakish guy like this every day. That can do everything. You know, he can do everything. You can throw the ball on the sideline. You can throw him a screen pass. You can throw him a slant. You can do everything with N'Keal Harry. He can run after the catch, everything. You know, you want him to work, you know, against press a little better, but that's something you can fix, something you can work with. Not worried at all. I'm a big N'Keal Harry fan. Would love this pick for the Colts. And another receiver, Akeem Butler, to me, could be a Raiders guy. You know, a receiver from Iowa State. Freakish length, biggest wingspan, longest wingspan in NFL history. And still runs a 4.48, I believe it was. It's ridiculous. You know, it's ridiculous. You do worry about his quickness overall, not too much though. Another receiver. You don't see a guy like this. Same thing applies to Harry, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf. Don't see a guy like this every draft. A team's gonna take a chance on him in the first round, in my opinion. Chargers take Andre Dillard, offensive lineman, Washington State. I think they could use another offensive lineman. You know, over the years they've had an inconsistent offensive line. Got some good good players in the O-line here and there. 1 year they've been really good. 1 year just absolutely terrible. So make sure it's good to go here. Dillard, big riser, athletic offensive lineman. So I think they definitely would like him. But they need a defensive tackle and linebacker a little more. Don't think there's any of those that are worthy of this pick. Maybe Jeffrey Simmons if he wasn't hurt. But I like Dillard for them. Make sure that offense line is good for Phillip Rivers because he's getting older. There's more of a risk. He's been very healthy, but there's more of a risk when you get older, obviously. I don't think I need to tell everybody that for getting hurt. So make sure he's protected now and in the years to come, whenever he's got left, you know. Taylor Rapp to the Chiefs. I like Taylor Rapp a lot. Very instinctive safety all over the field. You know, rare to see a safety that plays true safety, but then will come up in the box And that's why I said he was instinctive. He'll come up in the box when he knows the play. You know, rare amount of those safeties in the league. There actually might only be one or two. So I like Taylor Rapp a lot. One of my favorite players in the draft. You know, people are sleeping on him. The Chiefs would love to have him. I think he'd line up at true safety for them. The Packers go Dalton Risner, offensive lineman, Kansas State. To me, he's a Packer. That's a Packers offensive lineman. You know, they've been very good with their offensive line over the years, but it's starting to, you know, it's not bad at all, but not as good. And you got to keep Rodgers healthy, protected. Risner's, you know, a mean offensive lineman. I just see a fit there. The Rams take a chance on Jeffrey Simmons. You know, they'll wait until he's healthy because he's a top 10 player. But now I saw just right when I started recording this actually that John Sullivan, they're letting him be a free agent. That's their center. They got Saffold's a free agent, and Whitworth could be retired at any time. So they could go offensive line actually. They really could go offensive line. So that's something to look out for. But a couple of them came off the board right before Dillard and Risner. So if one of those are on the board still, you don't know, they would consider one of those. But now I'm starting to think maybe Garrett Bradbury possibly. Interesting that Sullivan may not be coming back. Marquise Brown of the Patriots. I know they met with him. I think they'll like him. You know, a guy that can play slot and outside. It's their type of receiver. And he drops a little bit because the health concerns, but nothing super big. You know, his tape's good. So, except for the Alabama game, but he'll go first round, I think, still. But he might be borderline, as we have it here. Second round, let's do it. Ja'Kai Polite falls all the way to the second round. The Cardinals pick him at 33. I like Polite a lot. You know, elite traits as a pass rusher, but we always had concerns about his run defense. Wasn't a huge concern for me. I still liked him in the first round. I still think he's a first round talent. Because of the upside here, but he apparently did terrible in interviews, meetings with the teams, didn't run too well, and then didn't finish the rest of his workout. So he's going to drop. People are very confident he'll drop to the second round. Cardinals, some expect the Cardinals to take the pass rusher with the first pick. If they don't, they get a good one here. That'd be a pretty good draft. Colts take DeAndre Baker, corner Georgia, a guy that can easily go first round. You know, I just had him here still. There's a lot of good talent here, defensive talent. So I had him dropping a little bit. So the Colts getting N'Keal Harry and DeAndre Baker looking pretty good. And the Raiders add Jerry Tillery to their fourth pick here. So it's going to be something else for the Raiders. But Tillery, I liked his workout. I think he easily can go first round too. Deebo Samuel of the Niners. You know, they need a receiver. The one that makes the most sense to me here for the Niners is Deebo Samuel. And Yannick Ajust to the Giants. They get the quarterback in the first. They get an offensive lineman in the second. I think you can play right tackle for them right away. And the Jags get a receiver in the first, and now they go for offensive line. McGarry, very solid workout. He's rising up boards, so he can start day one if they need him to on the offensive line. And the Buccaneers go with Josh Jacobs, running back Alabama. I think the running back slide a little bit, but Josh Jacobs definitely should be the first one off the board. Buccaneers get their starting running back. The Bills go Calvin Harmon, wide receiver, NC State. I think the Bills will like Harmon a lot here if he's still here. You know, he didn't have the best workout, but he's still a very good receiver. You know, I think a safe receiver to draft, you know. But Bills, we had him taking Juwan Taylor. Now Calvin Harmon, pretty solid draft. Moving on, next 8 picks. Broncos take Rock Ya-Sin. Apparently he interviewed well. He had a great workout. Teams like his wrestling background. That's very interesting. So it could be a physical corner, and he's a quick corner as well. I think Vic Fangio will like him there. So they really stack up the defense here. Bengals take Mac Wilson, linebacker from Alabama. They would like Devin White in the first round. He wasn't there. They get their linebacker in the second. The Lions take Irv Smith Jr., tight end Alabama. I think they want to make sure that the offense is going to be good. You know, Stafford's got his weapon, but it's going to be hard to do that with the 8th pick. You pretty much got to go defense, best talent there. So they got to go offense here. They go Irv Smith Jr. from Alabama. Nasir Adderley to the Packers. They need a playmaker back there in the secondary, mainly in the safety position. They got playmakers at the corner position last draft. Very good job doing that. 2 absolute playmakers. So they're going to be looking for more playmakers. That's today's NFL. So Adderley makes sense there. Plays safety for them. The Falcons go Garrett Bradbury. I think he plays right guard for them. Could be a future center for them as well. But like I was just saying, he could sneak up to the Rams up there possibly. He could go as high as the Panthers pick in the first round, maybe the Vikings in the first round. So a guy that, you know, has a big range here in the first, second round. Jonathan Abram, safety from Mississippi State. I like him a lot. You know, sometimes it almost looks like he's a linebacker, though, but that can cover. He's going to play in the box. But the Redskins like those type of safeties, you know. He could be similar to Swearinger, who they just cut. So I think they'll like Abram. Eric McCoy can be the Panthers' future center there. Texas A&M center or guard, can play either. He tested very well. Panthers will like him. The Dolphins get a guy who was rising up my board. I think Charles Omenihu from Texas can sneak in the first round. A guy that can be a 3 technique and a 4-3, or a guy that can be a defensive end and a 3-4, which he's more familiar with, but basically the same things. So I like Omenihu a lot. Very flashy on film. He could be a first rounder. So the Dolphins would love to get him for that D-line. Moving on. Draymond Jones, the Browns, maybe the best player available at this point. He can play D-tackle or DN for them, so you get a 2-for-1 there almost for the Browns. The Vikings go Chris Lindstrom, offensive lineman, Boston College. Pretty sure I had him mocked here for a few mocks, but I think too good to pass at this point. They could use linemen. I think they do a good job in free agency. They're going to move some of their guys around too. So I think some people will probably be surprised that they don't take an offensive lineman in the first, but I think it's very realistic knowing the Vikings. The Titans take Paris Campbell, Ohio State wide receiver, so they get their D lineman. In the first, they need a receiver and an edge rusher as well. I don't think there's an edge rusher worthy here. Maybe Christian Miller from Alabama, but I like Paris Campbell. That speed will be good with Corey Davis, Mariota. Would make a lot of sense to me to the Titans. He had an excellent combine as well, as everybody already knows. Steelers take Jawan Williams, cornerback from Vandy. I think Jawan would be good in zone. He didn't run too well. How is he going to man up with the fastest receivers? That's what teams will be concerned about, so he drops to the second. But the Steelers will like to run zone with Jawan Williams. Makes sense to me. LJ Collier I like him on the Eagles. I'm looking at the Eagles and the Patriots for LJ Collier. I think he's a true 4-3 end. If he goes to a 3-4 team, I think he'd be a 3-4 end. Very good technique. Teams are going to want to work with him a little more. The Eagles do have Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett, who I like a lot, but they need a rotation. I know they got Sweat last year, but Sweat can get injured. Barnett was injured last year. Brandon Graham's getting up there in age. I don't think the next biggest need, but they're very smart. When they won the Super Bowl, they had a damn good rotation. They're going to make sure this rotation's good, and they're set for the future. So this is an Eagles pick here. Texans get 2 in a row. That's going to be a lot of fun when they got 2 in a row here. Deontay Thompson and Trayvon Mullen. What a haul right there in those 2 picks. Deontay Thompson, I think, falls a bit. Injured, going to have surgery there, or just did, and I think it's a little overrated. He's very good in the pass game, very rangy. Angles and tackling could be a little better. I still think he can have a damn good career. I think this is more of his range. Maybe surprising people where I have him going here, but I think this is more of his range. And then Trayvon Mullen, because I don't love the corner class because there's no elite guy at all, but there's a lot of guys that can play. Like the second-round corner class is insanely stacked. So Trayvon Mullen gets pushed down, and I think the Texans will like him as a Kevin Johnson replacement there. And then Jalen Ferguson of the Patriots. Upside on this pass rusher is tremendous for Jalen Ferguson. Didn't get to see him in the combine, unfortunately, but the Patriots would like to have him here. Next 8. Is this the last 8 here? Oh, yeah. Justice Hill to the Eagles, the most athletic, best tested at the combine. And his tape's good, too. He was kind of right there for me with Holyfield, Singletary, David Montgomery. He was like right with that group. Dexter Williams, he's right there with that group for me. So dominating the combine. The other guy's not doing so good. Boosted him up. A guy that's gained weight over the years, too, and still can put on these performances, still showing he's athletic in every category. Upside is tremendous, tremendous. So I like Justice Hill a lot here. Zach Allen to the Cowboys, and then go play DN. They need more depth. Taco Charlton hasn't worked out yet. I'm still not giving up on him, though, obviously. They lost Randy Gregory, DeMarcus Lawrence, got the franchise tag right now. Can they work? They're trying to work out on a long-term extension, but maybe they can't. Maybe he's on the franchise tag for another year. You got to be careful here. So Zach Allen could be part of the rotation, could be a part of as a starter in the future. I think he honestly could possibly slide in on as a rotation too. Well, that'll be interesting. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the Colts, they could play safety for them or play in the slot. Either way, the Colts would love to have the playmaker. Chargers go Blake Cashman, linebacker, Minnesota. Big riser, after the combine. And right after the combine, I'm like, did he quite sneak in the second round? I'm thinking probably not, but there's a lot of talk that he's sneaking up. His tape looks real good. He interviewed with a lot of teams, and interviewed extremely well. And it could potentially be a late second-round pick, and the Chargers need a guy like this, so it makes sense to me here. Chiefs go Julian Love, corner from Notre Dame, so they grab Taylor Rapp, and then Julian Love, the corner from Notre Dame. The Saints go Dawson Knox, tight end, Ole Miss. Dawson Knox, Very smooth in the drills on the field. I think he's going to be an excellent tight end in the NFL. I see him on the Saints. This could be him. This could be Jay Sternberger. I'm feeling Dawson Knox. Excellent weapon for them. And then Chiefs go Juan Thornhill, who's a safety, and I think he can play safety, but they already got Taylor Rapp. I think Thornhill plays in the box. He can play corner too. He used to be corner, switched to safety, covered downfield, but played in the box a lot. Seen him line up basically at a linebacker position before. He can do a lot. The Chiefs would love to have him. And the Patriots go Jarrett Stidham, quarterback Auburn. A lot of upside for Stidham. Tremendous upside, and he threw very well at the combine. I think the Patriots I'm confident, maybe it's a long shot, but I'm confident they get either Ryan Finley from NC State, or Jarrett Stidham from Auburn. I'm feeling Stidham at the moment. But one of those two, I have a feeling they end up on the Patriots, just a gut feeling. So we'll see. We will see. That's my 2-round mock. And yeah, I'm going to do a 3rd round. I'll probably do that on Twitter at some point today probably. So link in the description for our Twitter. Go check it out. Go give us a follow if you want to see the 3rd round and more. I'm going to start doing 7 very soon. I keep talking about it, but it's coming very soon. Team by team. We're going to go in draft order. Team by team, 7-round mock draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. Did it last year, did it the year before. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is going to take a while to get some of the teams that aren't picking the 1st round or picking later, so I apologize for the wait for you guys. But we're going to get there. We're getting there. Can't wait for that. Lots of free agency coverage. Free agency is the main part right now because it's coming. Franchise tag deadlines today. The 11th is the legal tampering period. We start hearing about who teams are interested, who they're going to go visit, and then the actual free agency a few days after that. So things are starting to get a little bit crazy. We're going to see some trades too. We got you covered here at the Goat House. 20K subscriber goal. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I just kind of went over what kind of content we have here, so it's a must subscribe, must click that bell for the notifications. We're going to start going live maybe towards or a little after free agency at any time. We're going to be live during the draft, so you got to be notified when that happens. Clicking the like button, we much appreciate it as well. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for everyone's support. It's been outstanding. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for more. Goodbye.